Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 7 4 key game picks. Before we talk about my Week 7 picks, I really don't know if I want to get into thoughts from week number 6, because I think that if anybody who's watched sports analysts or sports talk radio, or let alone other people who do what I do on YouTube, do I need to get into the referees and whatnot? Because that really was the story of week number 6, was the officiating. The officiating last week really was horrific. And the main straw came from the Detroit Lions Green Bay Packers game that happened on Monday night. Obviously, just some bad penalties, 3 penalties that really just gave the game to the Green Bay Packers. But before I even get into that, I do have to stress, though, is that the Lions did have their opportunities in that game. I will say that. They had numerous opportunities to score touchdowns, and I hate to give credit where credit is due on the Packers, but the referees are still part of the blame on this. But going back to the Lions here, a lot of them were field goals. About 4 or 5 Matt Prater field goals. They've had their chances to score touchdowns in the red zone, and they just couldn't do it. The Lions should get part of the blame, but in all honesty, the referees really were the story here. Two defensive penalties that were illegal hands to the face by Fowler, clearly in video, was not even close. It looked like Fowler had blocking more on the shoulder than the face mask or the face by itself. And then there was a point in the game too where there was a defensive pass interference play that should have been called, was not called, that went in Green Bay's favor. I don't know. It's just that, I don't know, yesterday's game really just brings too many questions now in the NFL, whether this league really completely is not going to get any more credibility out of this. And it's really difficult for me as a football fan here to see something like this. I don't know what kind of road we're heading. I don't know. Does this league have an identity crisis or whatever it is right now? Because if they don't acknowledge this, it wouldn't surprise me now if attendance at NFL games starts to dwindle even more than it already has in the last 2 NFL seasons. Anyways, other than what happened in week number 6, big surprises that came out of that week was the Cowboys losing to the Jets, a winless Jets team, which in all hindsight, that really the Cowboys kind of screwed themselves, really. They didn't play all that well the entire game, and all of these things fall right under Coach Jason Garrett's mindset. I don't know what kind of plays he was calling in that game, and I really think that really was the main issue. Now, Prescott, they almost came from behind to tie the football game, but they couldn't convert a 2-point conversion in the end, and they ended up losing to the Jets. It kind of helps a little bit that the Eagles lost to the Vikings, which now creates that critical showdown on Sunday Night Football between the Eagles and the Cowboys, and it is going to be one of my 4 key game picks I will get to in a moment. The Rams are falling apart. 3 straight losses, and embarrassed at the Coliseum by the 49ers. This 49ers team may be for real, but I don't know if it came at a cost, because Richard Sherman did get hurt in that game, losing one of their key cornerbacks here. And it's just going to be tough to say if that defense can function without him, which they seem to have done very well throughout the game. They didn't even need him all that much, but this 49er team may be for real. I don't know yet for that certainty. I'm not going to say that they are favorites in the NFC, because Green Bay has a say in it, and New Orleans has a say in it as well. It's just that really the Rams are the defending NFC champions really are a mess. Cleveland Browns overrated. They lost badly to the Seahawks. And I really think now, in terms of Baker Mayfield's case, I don't know how much more I can defend this guy if he and that talent that they have on that team don't get their act together and fix the problems here. They're on a bye this week, and I don't know if they're going to get anything fixed. Anyways, enough of my rambling. Let's get into week number 7. Good slate of games this coming week. I marked down like 6 or 7 games. I'm picking 4 out of the 7 that I wrote down I could talk about. But these are the games I'm only going to discuss. I wish I had more time to discuss every game, all throughout the games that are happening in that particular week. Anyways, let's begin with key game number 1. A big showdown in the AFC South. It is the Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are a slight favorite in this one by only 1 point, and I do agree with that. Both the Texans and the Colts are making a case for really some sort of stability in that division and could have a say in it down the road in the playoffs, but I don't know. Now, Watson in a big win last week over the Kansas City Chiefs, even though I didn't get to thoughts about that. Really, I don't know what's wrong with the Chiefs there, but talking about Watson and the Texans, he went 30 of 42, 280 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, though, but a big win over Kansas City still. Now, the Colts were on a bye last week, and the Indianapolis Colts' big win against the Chiefs as well. In his last game, 18 of 29, 151 yards, no touchdowns, but 1 interception. This is a game that, in all honesty, is an evenly matched team, and the lines for this game should be even, in all honesty. I don't know how the odds makers have the Colts a slight favorite in there, even though this game's in Indy here. Offenses are about evenly matched. Defense is about evenly matched. This game is a huge toss-up here. It's hard to say who wins this game here in a crucial game for first place in this division here. But I have to go with experience here. I like the Texans as a slight favorite in this one, and I'm going to pick the Texans here. I just think that Watson and that Houston Texans team are getting on a roll. I'm taking this with a grain of salt here because I really don't know who's going to come out the victor in this game, because you don't know. The Colts were a dominating win over the Chiefs here. Now they got a divisional opponent here. This game could go either way. I could see this game going back and forth here. It probably might be like a 23-20 game, or maybe a 26-20 game, sort of type of football game. I can see that here. Should be a good one in Indianapolis, but I'm going to pick the Texans here. I think the Texans and the experience that they have, especially with Watson, they're getting on a roll. Their offensive line is now finally getting into a groove and trying to protect them. I could see the Texans winning this game here. I think they will take over first place and stay there. I think the Colts have their work cut out for them with Watson in that offense here. I like the Texans in this one. Texans over the Colts. Key game number 2, another big one here, going to the NFC North. It is the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. Vikings coming off a big win last week, and I mean, they just annihilated the Eagles last week. Cousins going 22 of 29, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now for the Lions and Stafford, 18 of 32, 265 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. Minnesota is a slight 1-point favorite in this game. And I kind of think that the lines for this game should also be even, but I'm not an odds maker, so I'm not the one doing these odds here, but the odds makers have it as a 1-point favorite for Minnesota here. This is a game that the Lions need to make a statement here. They need to be angry and just take it out on a lot of teams right now if they really need to get their mindset back on track here and stay focused here. But I don't know what that Minnesota offense, it came alive last week. 2 games that they had, their last 2 games, they really just been on a roll. Cousins finally getting into a groove here. And I kind of think that trend is going to continue for this Minnesota Viking offense here. Now, defense-wise, they got to be able to get to Matthew Stafford here. I could see this game going back and forth as well. A crucial game in this division to keep pace, not only within the NFC North division with the Packers, but also for a possible wild card spot. Tough to pick here, but I'm actually going with the Vikings here. I think the Vikings and their offense here, if they continue to stay on that path and really just work and do wonders on that offense, especially with the way that Cousins had thrown the ball to Diggs, basically just torched that Eagles defense. I can see them doing the same thing to the Lions here, and that's why I'm going to pick the Vikings in this game here. I think the Vikings will win this game. It's going to go back and forth. This is going to be a good one here. I expect this game to go back and forth, but I like the Vikings in this one. Vikings over the Lions. Key game number 3, the New Orleans Saints versus the Chicago Bears. Now, the Saints weren't that impressive last week against the Jaguars, and there is a big question of their running back Camilla if he's going to come and play this game, because from what I've been reading on the Saints website, is that he's questionable for this game. So that their running game may have taken a hit here. Now that Bridgewater doesn't have that other combination here, this could be trouble, especially with that Bears defense. Even though the Bears defense got torched last week 2 weeks ago by the Raiders in London. Now Bridgewater, 24 of 36, 240 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception. Daniel went 22 of 30, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Bears are favored in this one by 3 points. That number should be 2, maybe 1. The way the Bears have been playing, it's really tough to say here. This game's another toss-up here. It should be a pretty good game here. But if the Saints' running game has taken a hit, and if Camilla is still having problems with his knee, if he's questionable, if he's even going to play in this game, I'm actually going to pick the Bears here. I think the Bears bounce back here. I think that the Bears, with that defense here, I predict this will be a low-scoring game here. I think this will be much more. I think it's going to be much more low-scoring here. I think it's going to be a battle if the Bears defense can finally wake up, and hopefully that Bears offense can get it going here. I'm edging towards the Bears here. I think the Bears bounce back in this game. They'll bounce back and really give the Saints fits with their defense here. Bridgewater's going to have to really, really get rid of that football and avoid that pressure here. This game's really a toss-up here. It could go either way, but I'm going to pick the Bears in this one. I like the Bears here. I think they'll win probably more or less by a field goal here. Bears over the Saints. And finally, key game number 4, of course, the showdown that everybody's been waiting for. If you're a fan of these two teams, it is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. First place on the line here, no question. I think the winner of this game may control the division the rest of the way, even though both these teams still have to play more tougher opponents down the line. But I think here, whoever wins this game here has the edge in this division. Wentz last week, 26 of 40, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dak Prescott, 28 of 40, 277 yards, and no touchdowns, but 1 interception. So both teams did not play very well in their respective games here. And I really think more or less now both these teams better be ready for this game, because first place is on the line in that NFC East division here. This game is a huge, huge toss-up in my honest opinion here. The odds makers have the Cowboys as a 3-point favorite in this one. That number should be at least 2, or maybe a 1.5, because I really think that Philadelphia, I think they've been waiting for this matchup. I don't think Minnesota mattered to them all that much, even though for standings and other purposes here, that game kind of did hurt them a little bit here. But I think that they were keeping their more focused, more ready for this game here against the Cowboys here. And knowing what they saw last week against the Jets, if they're able to basically neutralize that running game of Ezekiel Elliott here and force Dak Prescott to make bad passes here, I like the Philadelphia Eagles in this game. Now, like I said, I don't know who's going to win this game. This is really not a sure bet. It is not a sure pick here, I should say. But I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles here. I think, to me, their offense is just a tad better than Dallas's offense. Now, even though Dallas may have the running game, but Carson Wentz is just better at passing than Prescott is. It's really a tough game to pick here. It should be a good one on Sunday night. I expect this game to go back and forth here. Should be a good one in Dallas. But I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles here. I think they will get a huge win out of this one here. But it's going to be close. I can see the Eagles winning more or less by a field goal. But it should be a good game in Dallas. This is not a sure pick here, but I'm going with Philadelphia here. Eagles over the Cowboys. All right, everybody, that wraps up my picks for week number 7. For all of my Week 7 picks, please check the description below, and I will see you guys next week when I talk about my picks for Week number 8. And until then, take care and enjoy your football weekend.